Hey guys, Falcon Pro Luke Palmer. You know, today it's cold, wintertime. I want to teach you guys how I break down wintertime finessing. You know, whether it's drop shot or Neko rig, we're going to get out there, we're going to catch some good fish, but we're going to learn about how to get that spinning rod out in the wintertime.
Yeah.
You know, it's cold. I mean, it's bluebird skies. You know, it's not always a bad thing in the wintertime. You know, we're the dead of winter right now. Heck, we're in 36, 37 degree water. We busted ice to get out here. I mean, I want to be fishing all the time, and trying to learn new things is something that I really enjoy. You know, it's working on skills that you're not as prominent at and good, say like a spinning rod. I've not been as good with that, which the Cara really helps eliminate that for me from Falcon, because it's so smooth, so light, and so sensitive. But we got out here, it's cold, like I said, and these fish are going to be sluggish. And with the bluebird sky, we have just a little bit of touch of wind today, but these fish are going to want something a little more finessey. It's cold. It's kind of like me, you don't really want to move too far, so you want to be able to put this bait in their face and make them eat it. I use a livescope a lot this time of year just because I can really make pinpoint casts with that drop shot and put it right on top of them. Other times of the year, you know, you can kind of get away with maybe pulling those fish a greater distance, but this time of year, it seems like I really want to put that bait right on top of their head, and you maybe have to shake it in front of them maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds before they get to bite. Oh, yep. Oh, look at this one. Uh-oh. Nope. Could not quite handle the finesse of that young finesse worm. You know, it's 7 foot medium. You know, it's got the good tip of this rod, allows this fish to stay hooked up. And he is hooked just like he's supposed to. You know, that fish was actually kind of just out there suspended out. He followed the drop shot right down to the bottom just like he's supposed to. And it's hard whenever you got these good bluebird conditions like this, that finesse worm on a drop shot, just to give them something different to look at, a little finessey. So the old Falcon out there, she's ready to rock. There's 2 or 3 around it. Oh, there. Oh, gosh, dang. That's a good one there. Oh, my gosh. Look at him. Oh, my gosh, that fish there, he took forever. I had to switch over on the Neko rig on him with that finesse worm, and oh, look at him. That fish looked at it forever. I didn't know if he was going to eat it. He had another buddy there with him, but oh, look at that one. Come on, don't come off, please don't come off. Oh, look at that one. Oh, that little bitty old Neko, little bitty hook, little old finesse worm. That fish could not handle it. You know, the thing about that fish too is not only really slowing down and letting that bait sit there for him, is almost didn't even feel him, you know, and having a very sensitive rod, especially in the wintertime like this, makes a big difference, you know. And this Cara, it's a 7 footer and it's a medium action, so it's got a lot of tips, so I'm able to fight those fish, especially with that light line. I mean, I'm throwing 6, 8 pound test sun line, and you just stick them in, and hey, that little worm catches some good fish too. You know, sometimes the drop shot, even though it's a finesse technique, it's liable to fall down to the fish too quick. Just like today, we don't have much wind. Even though it's cold, we don't have much wind. And a bait that I've really come into play with is a Neko rig. It's a lot more finessey. I mean, it's got a real slow fall. You can determine how fast the worm falls by how much weight you put in the end of it. I'm gonna sit down here, we can kind of talk about her. I like the young finesse worm. It's really subtle. But what I do as far as setting it up is, of course, you hook your worm in the middle with a number. I like a number 1 or a number 2 hook, just like a little straight shank type hook. I hook it in the middle, and I take a nail. I get a little finish nail, and I'll cut them up in different sizes to where if I'm fishing a little bit deeper, I may go bigger, or shallower, I may go smaller. And I take that nail and I go in the head. I don't put it in the tail. I go in the head and I put it in the head of the worm. You push it all the way up in there. And that way, whenever that bait falls, it's going to fall with that nose down. So you're still, whenever you're shaking it, that tail's going to sit there, wiggle back and forth. See that fish sitting right there. This hard spot comes across here, and then, well, there's my bait coming down there to him. He might decide to eat it, but no. Oh no, he said no. But there's another one coming over to it. So. Oh no! Ah! That's the thing about live scope. You got to let them eat it, and then just go ahead and pull into them. I want to yank. That's the thing too about a Neko rig that I found as far as setting the hook. I was real bad about just really dropping my rod tip and having slack line setting the hook. Well, that Neko, you just kind of want to reel down and just more of a pull sweep into those fish and let that Falcon load up. That's the reason I use the Falcon in the 7-foot and the medium, is because I want some flex in this rod. I mean, you can tell it's got a good flex, good parabolic bend to it. And not only does that help with you fighting the fish, it helps going ahead and pulling that light wire hook into those fish instead of just driving it in there too hard. Because a light wire hook, sometimes it'll flex on you. You don't have the flex in the hook. You're just pulling into them, and it's a fine wire hook, so you don't have to worry about just jacking the heck out of the fish. Just pull into them, and that hook will go ahead and penetrate plenty deep to go ahead and get your fish in the boat for you. That right there could be a tank. That, oh, yes, definitely a tank. Oh my gosh, this is a good. I let that bait sit there forever on this fish, and he's kept coming up to it and looking at it. Oh, definitely this light line, guys. You got to have a sensitive rod and a slow tipped rod that these fish you can just fight them, especially with this light line. Like I said, I'm only throwing 6 or 7 pound test line. And would you look at this absolute tank? Oh, look at him. Oh, don't come off. Ah, there he is. Oh, man. I let that bait sit there for eternity for that fish. Oh, gosh, he's in there. Man, it's cold, but they still bite. I mean, got that little young finesse worm. Now, like I said, I've let that bait sit there forever. And he just kept looking at it, and I kept shaking it, and finally, he got it. You know, as far as working a drop shot, I think a lot of people have a misconception of it. You know, I think a lot of people think that you have to just drop it straight below your trolling motor. And don't get me wrong, that's a great way to catch them. But you can also use this as, like, you even use a Texas rig, you know, where you throw it out there and you're just gonna maybe just drag along the bottom. And I'm just gonna take it, throw it out there, and I'm gonna let the bait go ahead and fall all the way to the bottom, because I mean, that's what it's amount to. But with that weight on the bottom, it keeps that bait suspended up in the water column for those fish to go ahead and see. But just a slow, just kind of ease it along, maybe kind of twitch your rod a little bit every now and then, but just slowly ease it along. Another way that I've done it too is where you're just hopping it up and down and just kind of real erratic. But I prefer that more during the summertime when it's a lot warmer. Wintertime, I'm gonna slow down and I'm gonna make the worm move, but I want my bait to be, or my weight to stay positioned on the bottom and not move. So to do that, you're gonna have to have just a little bit of slack, and it looks like I'm moving a lot, but my line is barely moving down there. So my weight is still contacted to the bottom, and my bait is still having a little bit of quiver, and it just makes that finesse worm just kind of just slowly wiggle there in the water column, and that entices those fish to bite. And that's that's how I'm actually catching the fish today, because you don't want to sit there and just yank the heck out of the rod. You just want to slowly just kind of give those fish just enough action, that worm, that it's going to entice them to bite, because they're actually coming right up to that worm and just sitting there and looking at it. And the more you just kind of keep it finesse in front of their face, they're going to eventually bite it, because they just can't handle that action of it.
Yep.
Gosh. That. Oh, don't get me. Oh my gosh. Dude, this is a gorilla. Oh man, like this is, that fish turned and came. Oh, don't get in the trolling motor, stay down. That fish he come from a long ways to eat this bait, and it really shocked me. But I was sitting there, I seen him kind of suspended up, so I just kind of threw to him and kept him interested, and gosh dang, don't come off, you stick. Oh man. Dude, having a rod like this makes a major difference whenever you pull out one like that. Oh my gosh. Hey, don't discriminate that little worm. It catches some gorillas. Man, having the right setup makes all the difference. I mean, 7-foot medium cara, that way you're able to pull into those fish and don't just get it out of their mouth too quick, and the gorillas come to play. Gosh dang, that's fun. Dang it. $9 pounds. That's pretty good for wintertime. I mean, you just anytime catching a fish is fun, but when you're able to catch one of that quality and on spinning tackle, that's what's pretty cool. Oklahoma, hey, don't right. I like that big line. I like the big stick, but pulling into them with that spinning rod, oh, it just a drag and everything. God, it feels good. Hey, we even got ice on the water. We're still catching it. That's what's cool about it. Okay, girl, come on. In the wintertime, I look for hard spots. And how I do that is, whether if I'm graphing, sitting back at my console, or looking at my live scope, you'll see a lot brighter return on your unit. Like the bottom, it's liable to be, I use amber a lot, to where it's just kind of fuzzy. It's not very dark, and all of a sudden I'll hit a spot that starts getting hard and it'll be real bright color, showing that hard spot. And that's where those fish will set up this time of year. I'm kind of mainly on a flat, looking for them, because I'm using the flat more or less because I can find those real defined spots in that flat with the live scope and the hard spots I'm looking for, and those fish will sit there just on those few areas instead of, you know, looking at a very big vast and just going forever. I can go in there, drop me a waypoint on each one of those hard spots, and then return to them throughout the day and just keep rotating through the pattern that I'm using. Hey guys, whenever you're out and it's cold, don't worry about it. Go out and get you some finesse tactics. Like today, we did the Neko rig with a young finesse worm, and also with the drop shot with the young finesse worm. Also, you know, we finessed these fish. We had bluebird skies. It was super cold, no wind. Tried doing a few other things, but just couldn't get it done. So we dropped down, got to our light line, that 7-foot medium cara Falcon, and we did work and caught some good fish doing it. But when you get to bluebird, like I said, drop down, drop your line size, get you finesse techniques, and you can go catch you some fish too.